What would you do if you were stuck in a car surrounded by zombies? I think it's hard to say exactly what to do, but these two friends found themselves in such a situation. And what did they do? What do you think? Did they get out of this hell or not? The story takes us to a world amid a zombie apocalypse, where two baseball friends, Mickey and Ben, are among the few remaining survivors. They are forced to wander through the forests and towns of New England in search of supplies, periodically defending themselves from relentless zombies. In reality though, the post-apocalyptic world is mostly dull, and the guys often find themselves with little to do. Ben has adjusted to this harsh new life more quickly than Mickey. He has learned to fend off zombies and find food with whatever tools are at hand. Mickey, on the other hand, avoids weapons and prefers to escape reality by listening to music on his headphones. During one of their outings, they come across an abandoned car. A zombie woman crawls out of the driver's seat, but Ben reacts quickly, taking her out with a shot to the head. Luckily, the car starts right up, and now they can continue their journey on wheels. Mickey suggests they stop by his ex-girlfriend's house to look for supplies. While Ben checks for zombies, Mickey grows nostalgic in her room, taking a new disc for his player and savoring the scent of her clothes and perfume. Ben, however, focuses only on essentials and finds a pair of battery-powered walkie-talkies. The friends grab blankets and pillows from the room to sleep in the car. Mickey, tired of wandering through empty homes and sleeping outside, suggests they stay in the house for a while. But Ben disagrees, insisting that staying in one place is dangerous. They need to keep moving to survive. He reminds Mickey that at the start of the outbreak, they barricaded themselves in Mickey's home for 3 months with his entire family. Staying cooped up quickly became unbearable. Food ran out, and Ben had to kill the family dog to avoid starvation. Eventually, zombies broke into the house, and only he and Mickey survived the ordeal. Reluctantly, Mickey agrees, and they move on without settling down. One day, Mickey finds the walkie-talkies and installs the batteries. He and Ben test their range and, unexpectedly, pick up a stranger's signal. They eavesdrop on a conversation between other survivors discussing a shopping list for their camp. For the first time in ages, Mickey hears other human voices. From their dialogue, he realizes there are people nearby who have managed to maintain a semblance of normal life, celebrating birthdays, watching movies, with plenty of food and comfortable beds. Excited, Mickey interrupts to ask about joining their camp. But a man's voice on the radio snaps at him to stop cluttering the airwaves and warns there's no room for them in the camp. The voice also tells a woman named Annie to cease any contact with them. Desperate, Mickey attempts to reason with the group, but they abruptly cut off communication. Ben calmly accepts the rejection and suggests they forget about the conversation, but Mickey can't let it go and keeps trying to reach Annie on the radio. Ben teases his friend, remarking that Mickey's overly romantic, imagining Annie as some alluring movie heroine who will rescue him from the zombie apocalypse. Ben, however, stays grounded and advises Mickey to be more practical if he wants to survive. The two arrive at an abandoned motel. Mickey checks out the building and quickly regrets it when zombies, trapped in one of the rooms, start swarming him. Once again, Ben steps in, taking the lead and protecting them. He tries to convince Mickey to join him in learning how to fight zombies, but Mickey resists, seeing no need. Not long after, Mickey gets his first solo encounter with a zombie. While Ben takes a swim, Mickey dozes off in the car, oblivious as a female zombie slowly approaches, awkwardly attempting to get inside. Mickey panics, unsure of how to defend himself, but Ben returns just in time and takes the zombie down. The tension between the friends mounts daily. During a search of another abandoned house, Mickey snaps and insists they spend the night there. Ben finally agrees but takes away Mickey's music player, pointing out that his friend wastes all the batteries, endangering them by blocking out important sounds. Ben tries to explain the importance of teamwork, but Mickey storms off into another room. Frustrated. Once alone, Mickey attempts to contact Annie again. This time she answers, warning him that communicating could get her expelled from her camp. She cautions him that the survivor camp isn't what he imagines and advises him to give up on joining them. Yet Mickey, undeterred, is ready to leave Ben to join the camp, but Annie again rebuffs him harshly. Meanwhile, Ben decides it's time for an extreme survival lesson. He cranks up the player, drinks, and dances with his gun, letting himself unwind for a bit. In the middle of the night, he hears strange sounds outside and catches a zombie. Ben leaves a bat next to a sleeping Mickey, releases the zombie into the room, and locks the door. Startled awake, Mickey screams and begs Ben to let him out, but Ben insists he fights the zombie himself. Mickey's terrified screams and the sound of blows echo from the room, until finally, Ben opens the door to find Mickey, breathing hard and drenched in zombie blood. Furious, Mickey lashes out at Ben, but Ben is pleased, seeing that his friend has finally faced his fear. The two continue their journey, bonding over fishing, sharing stories, playing apple baseball, and eating fruit straight from the trees. One day, they come across an abandoned car in the middle of the road. Ben decides to siphon the gas, but Mickey notices the hood is still warm. Realizing someone else must be nearby, they call out to the car's owner. With no response, Ben keeps working, not immediately noticing a stranger sneaking up and grabbing Mickey, pressing a knife to his throat. The man demands the keys to their car, threatening to kill Mickey if he doesn't get them. Ben offers to take the man along, but he refuses, saying he's headed to Arizona and doesn't need any company. Ben tries to reason with him, asking who he's running from that would drive him to threaten an innocent person. The man reveals he worked for a group all winter in exchange for promises of freedom, supplies, and a truck, but they lied, and now he's on the run to avoid being hunted down. Growing agitated, the man threatens to harm Mickey further, but Ben calmly says the car keys are in the ignition. Ben promises not to interfere, and even tosses his gun aside if the man lets Mickey go. The man shoves a frightened Mickey away and jumps into the car, only to discover the keys aren't in the ignition, they're actually in Ben's back pocket. Realizing this, the stranger tries to escape on foot, but Ben takes him down, leaving Mickey stunned. The friends argue over whether the act was justified until they notice new arrivals nearby. A woman's voice calls out, announcing they come in peace. A young woman and a large man, holding a gun, step out of a car. She orders her companion to grab a gas canister instead of the gun as they approach Ben and Mickey cautiously. The girl questions the guys about who was driving the car. Ben lies, saying the driver was bitten by a zombie, so they had to put him down. The stranger presses further, asking if the man mentioned anything about himself or the car's origin. Realizing this group was likely pursuing the man, Ben decides to play dumb, insisting that the driver didn't say anything important. Mickey, however, doesn't sense the danger and recognizes the girl's voice as Annie's, the person he heard on the radio. Annie, now realizing they know too much, shoots Ben in the leg and aims her gun at Mickey, threatening to kill them if they try to follow her back to the camp. She grabs the keys from them and throws them into a nearby field before driving off, leaving the two friends to search for them. Mickey searches fruitlessly through the thick grass until dusk begins to settle in. Ben suggests they wait in the car until morning to resume the search. In the middle of the night, Mickey hears suspicious sounds. Turning on the headlights, they see a horde of hungry zombies approaching. With Ben injured, they can't run far, leaving them trapped in the car. By morning, they're completely surrounded, the zombies moaning and rocking the car in their attempt to get inside. Hours pass as they remain locked in, Mickey paralyzed with fear. While Ben tries to think of an escape, he shoots at the undead, but there are simply too many to fight off. Ben finally loses his patience, blaming Mickey for their predicament, saying if he had left Annie alone, they wouldn't be in this mess. After more time passes, they realize their food and water won't last. Desperate, they cover all the windows with blankets, hoping the zombies might leave if they can't see them, but the undead remain. To keep from going mad, they decide to drink and try to enjoy the time they have left. By morning, they both realize they can't delay the inevitable any longer. They must try to retrieve the keys. Ben urges Mickey to go outside and do whatever it takes to survive, even telling him to leave him behind if he can't find the keys. Mickey promises he won't abandon his friend, and, after smoking his last cigarette, climbs out of the hatch into freedom. For Ben, these moments stretch on in agonizing silence as he waits, nearly giving up hope, when suddenly there's a knock from above. With a mixture of relief and excitement, he opens the hatch to let Mickey back inside, but quickly notices something is wrong. Mickey shows his bloodied hand, and Ben realizes he's been bitten by a zombie. At that moment, all of Ben's hope dies. Mickey, in tears, asks what he should do, but Ben already knows the only answer. Steeling himself, he shoots Mickey in the head, letting out a painful scream afterward, torn apart by grief. Days pass as Ben falls into a deep daze, trying to come to terms with the loss of his only friend. After some time, he finds himself back on the radio, talking to Annie. Ben recounts to Annie the trick they used to escape Mickey's parents' house. The two had lured zombies to one side of the house and allowed them in while they slipped out the other side. He tells her he'll try the same tactic again, and if he makes it out alive, he'll find her and put a bullet in her head for what she's done. Ben turns on Mickey's music player and pulls down the blankets covering the car windows, hoping to attract the zombies' attention. As they crowd around the front, he carefully climbs out through the trunk. The story closes with a scene of Ben limping down the deserted road, alone, with no supplies or weapons, while a swarm of ravenous zombies trails closely behind him. Now, however, he has a single, driving purpose: avenging his best friend's death.